The first sign before Christmas, the true Lord said to me.
Stop it. Get some help.
don't, I don't know how long I'm gonna keep doing that. I did that last year and I just stopped at like 5 or something. Anyways, number one, Israel preparing for war with Iran. So I was kind of going back and forth with this. I was like, okay, do I want to just go with the wars and rumors of wars stuff? Because there's so many conflicts happening out there in the world right now, or do I want to take a look at what's going on with the Ezekiel 38 coalition that's happening? The increase in cooperation between military and economy between Russia, Iran, Turkey, and Sudan and Libya. But I decided I'm actually going to narrow it down to the war that is basically being prepared for with Iran, with Israel. And so this is big stuff happening. This is something that really could kick off at any moment. And the reason why I chose this is because Israel is preparing for this war. And we've seen those signs start to accumulate, especially in the past month, I would say, where we've seen Israel. They are getting their war machine economy ready to go. If you don't know what the war machine is, it's like what we've seen World War II, World War I. It's where most of the economy starts shifting into war equipment, weapons and stuff. A lot of the economy starts shifting there. We've seen it where most of the money gets put in there. Women have actually started, like in World War II, they got into the factories and started building this stuff. And so Israel, they've announced that. They've started warning their citizens that prepare for a war economy. There's going to be a lot less money for the normal things that you've seen, and most of it's going to be put towards defense and offensive war machine equipment. So they're preparing that way, and we've also seen reports that the next finance minister that Netanyahu is going to put in place, his first task is to get that war machine prepared. So they are getting ready to do that. We've also seen the IDF has requested for a large group of battalion reserve military call-up. So I think it's over a dozen that we saw where the IDF is requesting. Now, these reserve battalions can be anywhere from 300 to 1,000. So if you start looking at that, that's a lot of people, a lot of soldiers. These specific battalions that they're talking about are not going to be offensive battalions. They're not going to be the ones like, say, boots on the ground in Iran or Syria or any one of these places. It's going to be defense. These are going to be defenses because you have to remember, the moment Israel starts something with Iran, all those proxy terror groups that are connected to Iran, Hezbollah, in the Gaza, we've seen all the terror strikes and stuff coming out of Gaza, West Bank and stuff. They're all basically going to get permission to start going after Israel. And so they're going to need defense on top of their offense. And that's what the IDF is requesting. So we've seen that happen. And then we're also seeing extensive drills, not only cooperative drills with Israel and the U.S., but we've seen just pop-up drills where they didn't even announce that they were going to do them. They didn't even announce that it was going to happen. And they've been preparing for long distance flights with their jets. We've also seen different ground scenarios. We've seen them in environments where they're going like Iranian style environments. I've seen reports that they're practicing for in mock Tehran scenarios. I don't know if they would go that far, but possibly. I mean, you never know, because this war is probably going to be leading into the Ezekiel 38 war. So they're getting these drills going where they're doing this, and Netanyahu has said, I mean, he's been saying for years now, but he has said they will stop the nuclear program with or without the U.S. involved. And so I don't know. The moves that they're making seem to tell me, at least, that this is going to go down, and it's probably going to go down next year. So that's why I chose specifically this. This is the war that I think we need to be watching for, because I truly believe that this is going to bridge into Ezekiel 38. And we could see the war with Israel and Iran kick off. The church could still be here for that. But the church is not going to be here for Ezekiel 38. And so if we see this war kick off, that's if, I'm saying if we see the war between Israel and Iran kick off, that's a pretty good sign that we are almost out of here, guys. No one knows the day or the hour, but he specifically said those who watch will have an idea of his return. We need to be like the servants waiting for the master, be prepared. And so that's the first sign before Christmas. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and say it. The second sign before Christmas, the true Lord said to me,
Little trouble there. Let's pick it up at 17.
Oh gosh, I don't know how long I'm gonna be doing that. But the second sign, also with Israel, the third temple is starting to take the focus of the world. The eyes of the world are starting to shift towards the third temple. And we know scripturally, unfortunately, I don't have all the stuff to throw up, guys. I apologize. But we know scripturally, the world's eyes, the world's attention is going to be, in the tribulation, is going to be turned towards the third temple. And we're starting to see that now. And so we're seeing the third temple start to take focus where we've got a lot of stuff has happened with this third temple. And I know there's some people out there that's saying, don't worry about it. Don't focus on the third temple. Be watching the third temple. There's so much involved with this. One world religion is involved with this. The coming of the Antichrist is involved with this. The abomination of desolation is going to be involved with this. When they're making preparations to build this temple, when they're making preparations for it to be built and to come to fruition, we know that they're getting ready to build it. And when they start doing that, that is a pretty good sign that we're almost out of here. So, what am I talking about as far as why is it coming into focus? We've seen things like the 5 perfect red heifers that have come from Texas into Israel. We saw that happen a couple months ago where they got shipped in. They were what they described as the perfect red heifers for this. They've got 5 to choose from. They only need 1. The red heifer, of course, is used for the purification of the temple. And so the red heifers, they're not quite to the age yet where they need to be, but they're like about a year away from being the perfect age for that. And so we know the Antichrist is going to use the red heifer to purify the temple. He's going to, as part of his I'm God, I'm taking over type of thing. So we've got the red heifers. We've also seen the water libation demonstration where they went through the exact trail that they were supposed to with all of the instruments and the water jug. They did the climb through and everything like that. They are practicing that water libation that is going to be used when that third temple is put up. So we've seen them doing that. That is a very unique thing that we haven't seen them do for a very long time because third temple wasn't there. Now they're practicing and getting that ready. We've also seen specific worship service practices, specifically with music. I'm not going to go into great detail about this, but basically what it is there's supposed to be specific instruments and specific singers on certain steps up to the Temple Mount, and they do it in a specific way, singing specific songs. It's a very structured worship service that they do, and we have seen them preparing for it. They've gotten the musicians and the singers and everybody ready to do this. We've seen them practicing that as well. So that is another huge thing. Then we've also seen the bullet train that they are preparing from Ben Gurion Airport to the Temple Mount. This is going to be huge to go back and forth. They've been working on getting the ultra-Orthodox church to be on board with this. They weren't really on board with it before, but now they're seeing what it could be used for as far as getting sacrifices to and from, as well as, of course, the countless amount of people that are going to be flooding into that third temple. So that's also going to be a part of it. Now, the Temple Institute of Jerusalem has been working for the past 30 plus years on getting the exact design, the exact blueprint, as well as the correct furnishings. I mean, to the knife, spoon, and fork getting the exact furnishings that they need for this third temple. They've been working on it for 30 plus years. And I mean, they've been collecting these items. They haven't just been planning for it. They've actually been collecting for it, and it's collecting them, and they're sitting there in preparation, ready to go for this temple. And I've also heard, I can't like sit here and confirm, but I've heard from several sources that when they get the okay, when it's approved, they can get this temple up and opened within 3 months. And so this is a huge, huge thing to watch for this. Let's see. We've got El Trim. I don't think I've seen you around here before, so really good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good Tuesday. Says, don't they even have all the materials to build ready? I know the plans are drawn and they can build and finish in a matter of weeks. Yeah. So that's basically what I was talking about, as far as they've got everything sitting there ready to go, and they can get this thing up and open in 3 months. So yeah, this thing has been ready. Like I said, I mean, if you've been working on this temple for 30 plus years, you better be sure you've got everything ready to go, and it sure seems that way. And now the last thing I want to make note on this third temple, and this kind of, there's people that have been covering it, prophecy guys have been covering it, but it kind of goes under the radar a little bit, maybe not necessarily talked about as much. But you've got officials of not only the Temple Institute, but government officials as well, and the planning officials that are calling, basically saying that this third temple is going to be the house of worship for all nations. What that means, translated, I guess you can say, is it's going to be the house of the one world religion. The house of worship for all nations. That's all nations. That's putting it together. That's going to be the one world religion. And so that fits exactly, perfectly and exactly as prophetic scripture would tell us it's going to be. So this temple is not only they're getting the preparations for all this stuff, but they're calling it the house of the worship, or house of worship for all nations. That's your one world religion. And of course we know Antichrist sits on the throne, one world religion. You're all going to worship me, abomination of desolation. You know how the story goes. So that would be the second thing that we have seen this past year and what is building into this coming year. Remember, I know there's so much stuff going on out there, and there's so many things happening everywhere, but we've got to remember, we must remember that the key to prophecy, the key to everything is Israel. That's why everybody wants to say it's the tribulation, but what it is, it's the time of Jacob's trouble, and then the great tribulation happens. So it's Jacob's trouble. It's Israel. It's for Israel. It's the whole point is to get Israel to turn back to the true Messiah. They're going to be duped. They're going to fall for this false Messiah, this Antichrist, and the whole point of this is to get Israel to turn back. And so we got to watch Israel. And I mean, the countdown, the clock for all this started when Israel became reborn, became a nation again. And so once that hit, that countdown clock started. Again, nobody knows when the clock's going to stop, but I'm just using it as an example that the focus needs to be on Israel. Don't ever fall for any false teaching that tells you that the church has replaced Israel, or Israel's not important, or any of that. Don't ever fall for that. That is not scriptural. That is not biblical. It's false teaching. Israel's the key. They're still important. That God still has a covenant with them, that it will be fulfilled. He never breaks his promises. Never breaks his promises. And so that covenant is still alive and active today. So do not fall for that garbage. Trash, garbage, whatever you want to call it. Or as the UK would say, the bin.
I'm just saying you're in the bin.
Yeah, I'm swimming.
But but why?
Because it's a hot day.